Can we meet the people in the story? Ichong, the youngest son, Tong Tongi, his eldest son, Salsari, his second son. There once lived an old man who had three sons. The older two were lazy, while the youngest Ichong was hardworking. The old man loved Ichong the most, and this made the other two jealous. Alas, one day the old man died, leaving each us with his two mean brothers. The poor boy cried bitterly at his father's death. Oh, stop your sibling, said Tong Tongi, the eldest brother. Yes, stop your sniveling, Salsari repeated. Salsari could not think for himself, so he always repeated what Tong Tongi said. I can't bear to see your miserable face any more, Tong Tongi continued. I can't bear, Salsari began, but before he could finish the sentence, Tong Tongi had thrown Ichong out of the house. He threw a crust of dry bread after him, saying, "Take this, for this is as much of our father's property as you will get." Then the two laughed at poor Ichong. Wandered into a nearby forest. There he gathered some wood and straw to make a little hut. It did not take him long to build four sturdy walls and a neat roof for his shelter. He lived there for a while, eating the roots and berries he could find, but winter was drawing near, and he knew that he would be cold and unhappy all along. One day, Ichong could only gather a handful of berries. They were not enough, as he was very hungry. As he turned towards his home, he saw an injured bird lying on the ground. When he bent to look at it, the bird fluttered its wing, afraid of being harmed. Ichong saw that one of its wings was broken. He picked it up gently and hurried home. He made a soft bed of grass for it, and without a thought fed it the berries he had collected. The bird soon recovered, and then one morning it flew away. Ichong was sad to see it go. It had been his only companion, and he had come to love it. The next morning he heard a familiar creeping outside his door. He saw that his friend the bird had returned. It had a small seed in his beak. It dropped the seed at Ichong's feet, saying, "I wish to thank you for your kindness. Plant this seed and it will bring you good fortune." The bird flew away. Ichong picked up the seed and planted it outside the door. When he woke the next morning, his room was dark. He looked out to see if the sun had risen, and felt a last soft lift against his face. He moved it aside, but all he could see was a mass of green leaves. "Where it's a pumpkin plant," he exclaimed. The plant was larger than anything he had ever seen. Among the thick green leaves, lay many large pumpkins. Each plucked a pumpkin and carried into the house. A bright light seemed to glow as he began to cut the pumpkin. As the two halves fell apart, each grasped the wonder for a stream of gold coins poured out of the pumpkin, and there was countless pumpkins to be gathered, at each filled with gold. Each young was so happy, and he picked two of the largest pumpkins and rushed to his brother's house. In spite of all curiosity, he wished to share this fortune with them. His brothers was asleep when each reached their house. Look what I have for you, he cried excitedly. Tong Tongi opened one eye and laughed when he saw the pumpkin. Why, there are only pumpkins, he said. Salsari and why there they are, he began to say. We don't need your pumpkin, Tong Tongi said to each young. We have plenty in our fields, only pumpkins we don't have plenty in our. Salsari mumbled, trying hard to keep up with what Tong Tongi was saying. But Tong Tongi Chung said, there are not ordinary pumpkins. Look, and with that he caught upon one of the pumpkin and the gold fell out. Tong Tongi and Salsari jumped up the grabbed the gold. Then each told his brothers about the bird with the broken wing. Tong Tongi scratched his head thoughtfully. He pushed each aside, saying, away with you, we don't need you anymore now than we need before. Each turned away sadly. He had hoped that his brother should let him return home. Salsari Tong Tongi called when each had left. Ben, so you can hear me. You see, Tong Tongi was short and fat, and Salsari was tall and skinny. Salsari often complained that he could not hear what Tong Tongi was saying because he spoke from such a distance below. Salsari bent down obediently and got a punch on his nose. He did not mind, for he was quite used to this. Used to this, you see, of the two brothers had all the brains. Salsari was happy to obey brothers. The two brothers got on very well indeed. Now Tong Tongi ordered his brother to go out into the forest in search of bird with a broken wing, and don't you dare come back home empty handed, he threatened. He started counting the gold as Salsari went out. As evening drew near, Salsari got worried. He had found a bird with a broken wing. He could feel his nose begin to sting as he thought of the blow he would get. At last he had an idea. He caught the bird that flew by and broke on off its wing. Then took the bird to Tong Tongi. The brother nursed the bird with herbs and berries. They were angry that it was taking so long to heal, so they often crushed the bird. At last, the poor bird was ready to fly off. The next day, it returned with a seed in its beak and dropped it on Tong Tongi's feet. They planted the seed and could hardly sleep the night. The next morning they had delighted to see the huge pumpkin plants that had grown happily. They began to bring the pumpkins into the house. When they had gathered as many as they could, they took a knife and cut open the first monkey. Imagine their horror when instead of gold out crawled the simplest of snakes, lizards, and frogs struggling out at the awful sight. They threw the pumpkin away and cut open another pumpkin after pumpkin had the same creature inside. Soon the snakes began to crawl all over the room and crawl around their ankles. The two brothers scared in terror and ran out as fast as they could. As fast as they could, they ran out of the house and through the forest. Perhaps they are still running, for they were never seen again. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share.